Hi everyone, Daniela Cambone here for ITM Trading. You know, I have had the privilege and the honor of doing a career I love for close to 20 years, and I have met thousands of the most insightful and intelligent people on the planet. There is just so much wisdom, lessons, and insights I have gained in terms of building an incredible portfolio and preserving your wealth. And we want to share those insights with you today. We have put together a free report that highlights some of the best knowledge I have acquired through all these years. You can get it today for free at DaniReport.com. Again, that's Danny, D-A-N-I, report.com. Don't miss out, get it now. Hi, this is Daniela Cambone, and welcome back to the Daniela Cambone Show here on ITM Trading. We are 1 week away from the election, and I have investing guru legend Jim Rogers with me on today because I want to get his thoughts on whether he thinks the U.S. is staring in the face of an extremely bad recession. How does he see things? Jim, thank you for joining us from Singapore. I know it's very late over there. I appreciate you taking the time. Always good to be back with you.
Daniela, it's certainly a joy for me and a pleasure, and I know I will learn more from you than you will learn from me. It is nighttime here in Singapore. Yes, we have to get to the disco, so let's get on with it. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about a lot of things because I've seen past interviews you've done where you're really concerned about the U.S. facing a major recession. Let's start with that. Let's just get your general overview of the U.S. economy here, 1 week ahead of a pivotal election here, Jim.
Well, Daniela, America has gone the longest in our history, American history, without a recession, without a stock market problem. So history would say we're getting closer to a problem. I have no idea when it's going to come. We'll watch you to find out when it's going to come. But history says, well, not just America's never gone this long without a problem. So either we have solved our problems and Washington knows, don't worry, it'll never happen again, or we're getting very close. I am not selling short, and I'm not selling short yet because I don't see wild hysteria. Stocks are high, stocks are expensive, but I don't see wild hysteria yet, so I'm not selling short. I'm just watching.
You know, we're speaking ahead of the election, but also the next FOMC meeting. And obviously, we saw the major pivot they took the last time around. Do you think the Fed's aware of this?
Do I think the Fed's aware of what? The Fed's not aware of anything. That's how they get the job. You know, all they want to do, Daniela, is keep their job. They don't care about you and me. They want to keep their job, and the way they think they keep their job is give everybody a lot of money and keep interest rates low. It has often worked, and that's what they're doing now. I know we're going to have problems again. We always have. I just don't know when.
What do you mean they don't care about us, Jim? I thought Powell was losing sleep over me at night.
Oh, sorry. Well, I hope I can stay awake tonight then. Well, I'll be worrying about it too. No,
okay.
They don't. Daniela, if you go back in history and you read his comments, you see that he's very rarely been right.
Well, it's interesting. I was reading past a Federal Reserve Chair comments, and that's why I found Powell was quite confident in his latest statement compared to, you know, how Bernanke spoke during the financial crisis, where he came out and basically admitted, we have a serious problem, where contrasting this to Powell, who seems quite dismissive, and hence why I asked you the question.
Well, I have no idea what they're thinking. I know that they think they know everything and they have all power and can keep things under control. I know that has rarely happened in American history or in any central bank history, but they think that's where we are. I mean, that would be wonderful. I hope so, but I guess maybe a little older or more experienced. I know we haven't had an economic problem or a big stock market problem in the longest in American history. They will say, you see, we know what we're doing. We've solved the problem. Janet Helen has 2 Ivy League degrees. Maybe she's smarter than all the rest of us. maybe everything is okay now. I'm skeptical. I am waiting to sell short. I am not waiting to buy.
I'm just really concerned that a lot of folks, Jim, are going to be caught by surprise, that they're not prepared, that they're looking at the stock market thinking everything's great, the economy's great, and that this is just going to be a punch in the face.
Well, it's usually been that way. I mean, very, very, very few people say to you, get out of stocks today because it's going to collapse next week. It rarely happens. There are some people who get it right, but throughout history, Daniela, very few people get it right. Stock market declines, much less collapses, come as a surprise to people, because we wouldn't have all-time highs if people weren't confident, if people didn't think everything is okay. Everybody gets happy and yay, and they think everything's great. Stocks go higher, and that's when people should be worrying, because that's when the problem will come.
Jim, I want to get your thoughts on an idea that Donald Trump is floating around. He repeated on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's standing by his idea to end income taxes and substitute them with tariffs. He said this in last Friday's interview. And even Ron Paul took notice, tweeting, well, that's something that would make America great again. What do you think of, what is the probability of that happening, and just the fact that he's even floating that concept around? Your thoughts on that, Jim?
Well, I suspect he's floating it because it's an attractive idea, and he's trying to get votes, and it might help him, and it might help him get elected. Then what's he going to do? If he gets rid of the income tax, which everybody would love, he's got to pay the bills somehow. And that's the next question. I don't know if Mr. Trump realizes he'd have to pay the bills if he didn't have income tax. But if he can pull it off, yes, it'll be wonderful. But at the same time, somebody would have to cut spending in a gigantic way, which would certainly be good for America if we could do it. But it certainly leads to lots of ramifications. Cutting taxes, getting rid of taxes, then cutting spending. It'd be fabulous. But how are we going to pay the bills? They use a lot of electricity. How are we going to
pay the bills?
Well, Daniela, they use a lot of electricity in Washington. Somebody's got to pay for that electricity.
Speaking of that, let's look at, the debt numbers. And, I've mentioned that I've had experts dismissing the debt, saying people have been talking about the debt issue for 20 years. America can handle it. What's Jim Rogers' take on the trajectory of the U.S. debt?
Well, Danielle, I was actually looking at it a bit the other day, and it is a staggering number. I don't see any way that the U.S. can ever pay its debt, much less whittle it down. I have two children who are, teenagers basically. They're going to have gigantic problems in their lifetime because America has such huge debt. I couldn't, 100 years ago, Britain was the richest, most powerful country in the world. 50 years later, they were bankrupt because the debt kept going higher and higher and higher. They kept spending money, and that's not a typo. Britain went from being the richest country in the world to 50 years later, bankrupt, couldn't pay the bills. IMF had to give them special loans. So, I look out the window, Daniela. How can we possibly ever pay the debt? Well, how can we possibly even whittle it down so it's not a problem?
Well, that's such an important point. And the pound sterling was the #1 currency in the world. And they probably thought there's no end in sight to this empire, as did past empires, Jim. So why do you think history's forgotten, or people believe that America's just in a league of its own and this won't happen to America?
Because Washington says it over and over and over again. The media repeats it. And most people in their lifetime never conceived that something bad could have happened in America. It's just a foreign thought. It's something that people could not even think about, and if you brought it up, they'd say, go away, leave us alone. We're America. It's different. It is different. It is different. We're the largest debtor in the history of the world. That's what's different.
What are the chances the U.S. would default on its debt?
Well, not this year, not anytime soon. But as I said before, Daniela, the numbers are staggering. The numbers are impossible. And whether there are more than one way to default. You can just print more money and pay your bills, and then you don't default. And everybody keeps going along like there's nothing happening and everything is fine. There's more than one way to default. The currency can become worth less and less and less, and they hand you more and more of it. You think you're okay, but you and your wife or your husband realize this is a problem.
Speaking about topics people have been dismissive of, let's talk the BRICS, which just concluded their summit in Russia, Jim, and they are in talks with Russia was in talks with other BRIC members about creating an international precious metals exchange. They've also we're floating the idea of a BRICS currency. In fact, even Vladimir Putin held up a mock-up of a BRICS bill. So obviously they're moving forward. They want de-dollarization. They want to find solutions outside of the U.S. dollar. Do they stand a chance?
Daniela, you and I are not the only people who know that there's a problem with the U.S. dollar, a potential problem. Now, whether the BRICS are going to be the answer, I'm skeptical. I doubt it. You know, the BRICS, there's no logic to the BRICS other than some guy at a brokerage firm saw a big map on the wall one day and says, look at those big countries. Let's call them BRICS and make a name for ourselves. That's all that happened. There is no logic or anything to the BRICS nations, except they're big countries and they have big economies. But that does not mean they cannot try, and they will try. Many people are trying now, because, Daniela, these numbers are staggering. We, America, cannot pay our bills someday, and somebody is starting to worry about it besides just me. And when that happens, it's going to be a huge financial problem, economic problem. We may have the worst bear market. We probably will have the worst bear market of my lifetime because the debt is so high. You remember 2008, there was a big problem? Daniela, since 2008, the debt has skyrocketed everywhere. So the next bear market has to be very serious because the debt everywhere is staggering. And nobody's doing anything about it, except that they will print more money. But that's not going to solve the problem. That makes it worse. And to your question, then that makes people look more and more, okay, we got to have another currency. What do we find to compete with the U.S. dollar? And that causes more economic turmoil.
Jim, I want to dig a little deeper on what you said there, that you are skeptical the BRICS would be successful. What would be the roadblocker to their success? Why couldn't they form a BRICS currency?
Well, they can, but somebody's got to use it. Somebody's got to accept it. And there are, a couple hundred countries in the world, and many of them are going to be skeptical of some new printed money. Maybe it will work, Daniela. I'm just saying, but throughout history, when people have had this problem, they try something new, and it rarely works. It certainly rarely works the first time around because people are so skeptical. If the BRICS come into you and say, okay, this is the new currency, and you should use it, many people are going to say, wait a minute, what is it? Will it work? How's it going to work? Many people will have questions. And that's why these things are so complicated and hard to do.
Jim, any insights on the health of the U.S. banking sector? I mean, we were digging so deep in the banking crisis just, 1 or 2 years ago. We see Warren Buffett dumping his Bank of America stock. Are you reading into that? Are you following what's happening in the U.S. banking sector? Are you concerned about the health of the U.S. banking sector?
Well, I hope you are, Daniela, because the debts are so staggeringly high that somebody's going to have more problems. I don't know who, but I know that there are banks out there. The U.S. has a couple of thousand banks. They can't all be sound and solvent with nobody making mistakes. So, yeah, we're going to have more problems. When we have a bear market, as I said before, it's going to be very bad because the debt is so unbelievably high now The debt is over $40 trillion. And that's just happened this year. Those are staggering numbers. And so, of course, we're going to have banking problems, which is going to lead to more currency problems. Currency problems are going to lead to investment market problems, bond problems, stock problems. No, it's going to be Daniela, it has to be the worst in my lifetime because the debt is so much high compared to the last time. Compared to 2008, it's unbelievable. And in 2008, the Chinese came along and bailed us all out. Even China has a lot of debt now. So who's going to bail out China? There's nobody left. North Korea? I doubt it.
Which leads me to my next point of, protecting oneself. Obviously, you've been quite vocal in all the interviews we've done about the power of gold and silver. Let's talk about the run-up then in both metals here. I mean, Jim, we have gold over 2,700, silver right now, a little over $33. Let's talk about this rally we're seeing in gold and silver.
Hooray, I own them both, as you well know. If I were buying one today, I would buy more silver. Silver is down 40% from its all-time high or something. Gold is making all-time highs. So if I were buying one today, I would buy silver. I own both. I'm not selling either. And I may buy more silver. If I weren't talking to you, I might be buying some silver right now. I will buy more silver.
I don't want to keep you from that, but why more bullish on silver? Obviously it has more of an industrial component than gold. So why the bet on silver?
Well, just because it's cheaper. To repeat, the all-time high in silver is $50 an ounce. It's selling at 32 or something now, so it's down dramatically from its all-time high. Gold is making all-time highs. I hope your parents taught you to buy low. I know Jim, know to buy low.
Yeah, I would think I would have learned that 20 years covering the sector. Jim, you're based in Singapore, where the retail appetite for gold and silver is hot. But in North America, the retail investor hasn't showed up. They're almost scared of these price points, Jim.
Which means
I find that interesting. I don't think I've ever covered a rally where the retail investor isn't, just jumping in here.
Well, that usually means, traditionally in markets, when the retail people show up, whatever the market, that's when you start getting worried. And the fact that they're not jumping in right now says to me that maybe I better buy some more silver. I should hang up and go buy some more silver now. No. I own gold, but if I were buying one, I would buy silver today. And the fact that you just told me this is not spreading yet, this move in gold and silver and precious metals, says to me we should buy more. Daniela, there will be a time when you will look out the window and all the shops will be mobbed with people buying more silver and more gold. I hope you're smart enough to...
I can 100% guarantee that they are not, Jim.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I hope, and if and when you see them all lined up out there, you sell. But today, maybe you should buy. I'm going to buy some more silver.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Do you like Bitcoin?
Well, I have never bought nor sold short Bitcoin. I don't see any logical reason for it. It seems to be a very good trading vehicle. A lot of people have traded and made a lot of money. Many cryptocurrencies have gone bankrupt and disappeared, as you know, but crypto is still there. But Daniela, I don't see any logical reason that Bitcoin exists except as a trading vehicle, so I'm not involved. Now, maybe someday I'll be smart enough to get involved, but so far I'm doing nothing except watching.
Jim,
I will buy silver. I will buy silver, but I'm not buying Bitcoin.
Look, I always want to give folks tools, knowledge they could digest, they can work with, because they are scared of the times, of the uncertain times that we're facing. I mean, you're talking the worst recession, and they're like, what should we be doing? How do we prepare for this? They want to feel somewhat, even though we aren't in control, but How can we gain and take back some of that control?
Well, I will tell you what I'm doing, but everybody has to make their own decisions. I own gold, I own silver. I don't own many shares anywhere in the world. I'm not selling short yet. I have planned to sell short somewhere along the line because I know it's got to be a very bad bear market, the next one we have, because the debt is so high. You saw what happened in 2008. The debt is much higher now all over the world. So I would urge people to learn about being defensive. If that means having a lot of cash, that's fine. But even if you have cash, Daniel, you got to have the right cash. Is it U.S. dollars? Is it Mexican peso? What is it? I own U.S. dollars at the moment. My plan being that if and when the big rally comes in the U.S. dollar, because people are looking for a safe haven, I hope I'm smart enough to sell my U.S. dollars. Now, your question should be, well, what are you going to do with the money? And Danielle, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that logical, smart question. I don't know where I'm going to put the money yet. In theory, it would be the Chinese money, but that's not a convertible currency. Yes, it's a huge economy. Yes, they don't have huge debt, but it's not a convertible currency. Who wants to go piling into a non-convertible current asset? Not me.
Or why wouldn't you just put more of it in gold?
Well, okay, yeah, I said I'm going to buy some more silver after listening to you. I'm going to buy some more.
I'm not lecturing you.
I know you're not, but you've made some comments which made me, you said people aren't mobbing the silver stores yet. If they were, I would be worried. But it makes me say, okay, well, it's still time to buy more silver, maybe even buy more gold. And yes, I will buy more. But I don't think that I'm going to put my whole net worth in silver and gold, because then it's going to be a little complicated when I have to go buy some bread or something. No, I certainly own silver and gold, and I certainly will own more. But I don't see that yet as a replacement or a competitor to the U.S. dollar. I don't know what the new competitor is going to be. Maybe, I mean, the gold bulls say they're going to use gold again. It's going to be a gold standard. Maybe. I'm skeptical. There are many problems with the gold standard, have been anyway. But I don't know yet. You should watch your show.
What do you think about the risk? What do you think about the risk of confiscation? Do you see that? Could you possibly see that happening again?
Not anytime soon. And when you say confiscation, you mean in the U.S., I presume. I just think there would be too gigantic a scream and holler, and it would be difficult because everybody would hide their gold and silver under the bed. So I think it would be an extreme logistical nightmare and a political nightmare. You know, in the 30s, gold was money, and so it was easier to say something like that. But gold is not money now. So if they just confiscate your gold, they're essentially stealing from you. But then in the 30s, Roosevelt said, look, do we have to reform the financial system, the monetary system, and gold is the money? So we have to change that. There's no logical explanation now that I know of why they would confiscate your gold and silver. If they do, Daniela, put more under the bed.
Final thought, Jim. I know you're a student of history. You're always reading, learning. Any books you recommend?
No, I recommend all my books.
Just the Jim Rogers books.
I'm a greedy author. No. I have learned about anything that if people are interested in something, they're very good students. But if you tell them to go and read a lot about wheat, and they don't care about wheat, they're not going to learn, they're not going to be enthusiastic, it's going to be a waste of their time and yours. So I would urge people to figure out what you like, and if you're interested in money or if you're interested in silver, read up on it. And maybe it would lead you to buy some. But maybe you'll say, you know, I don't care about this stuff. I care about wheat. And you'll become a farmer. And you'll be very rich if you become a farmer in the next generation or two. So my experience with life and learning is you need to urge people to learn what they like and are interested in. Whatever, that's the way you're going to learn and be successful. If people say to you, who cares about silver? Buy more, read more.
Well, I hear that all the time.
Okay.
When people
Well,
say,
that's
well, you
good.
cover
And-
gold, they're like, why cover gold? It's a pet rock.
But Daniela, and you see it served you in good stead. Here you are. You got an ongoing, long-lasting, long-term TV show or entertainment
Yes.
show because
Yes,
people keep saying to you, ignore her. And more, that
exactly.
makes more people
But-
want to watch.
Jim, I'll share this with you. The greatest gift that brought me is I met my husband in the industry, and now we have our children, which is
You
my
did
ultimate
it.
goal. So
So you
I
did it. Fantastic.
to your point.
Well,
Oh.
I would just say to you, for all my life, I thought children were a horrible waste of time. I said, oh, my friends, they've ruined their lives, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't have a child until I was 60 years old, and I realized I was wrong about children. Children are fantastic and wonderful experiences, so I'm very glad I did it. I'm so happy I did it. I had two. So I'll leave that to you
Wonderful.
and your husband, but it's wonderful experience. Now, I will hasten to say, too, you should be old enough and experienced enough to know what you're doing. If I'd had a child when I was 20, oh, my
Yeah.
God, it would have been terrible for me and the child and the mother. So be sure you're ready, but I urge everybody not to miss parenthood.
I agree 1,000% with that. Jim Rogers, I know you got to get to the disco.
Come with me, you know.
You're a little far. I need like a supersonic plane, but I would. Anytime with you, Jim. Anytime. We love you.
Okay.
We adore you. Thank you.
Well, I certainly adore you and the program, and it's wonderful to see you're still going strong. Keep up the good work.
Still going strong. That's right. Thank you, Jim. And thank you, all my wonderful viewers, for staying tuned. We have more great content coming your way. So be sure to sign up at Daniela Cambone and subscribe to our channel to stay on top of it all. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
We need Daniela, so keep watching.